Let me just say something quick about options and contingencies. It's never wise to put all your eggs in one basket, even when it comes to the divine plan, because even God's plan might not work out, not because of God, but because of the way the system is designed and contrived. So, therefore, you always have to have backups. You always have to have contingencies. Always overcompensate for things. This way, you know that you're going to be okay. Like I made a video quite a while back saying that, it's not that you're expecting the worst or assuming the worst or anticipating the worst or presuming the worst. You're just planned for anything in any instance that might pop up. It's better to have something and not need it than it is to need something and not have it. Remember that. I'd rather have a gun in my holster if I'm in the woods and not need it ever than to find myself in the woods in a situation where I need that gun and I don't have it. Common sense. Same thing holds true here. It's always good to have backups and contingencies and redundancies in place. This way, if anything might not work out exactly the way you had hoped, you got plan B, plan C, plan D. And this holds true with the manifestation process. It isn't God's fault. Don't ever blame God for anything. The universe always wants the best for you. It's just that people get involved with these things. When these divine transmissions are sent to you, sometimes they get lost in this system, and they get, boggled down and jumbled up and all of this stuff. And other people's energies, people that you know, people that you live with, your friends, you talk a lot of talk to these people about what you want to do, where you're going to go, your plans, your ideas, which, by the way, you should never do until they're realized. And then by that time, nobody can sabotage them. But nonetheless, you can't always think that it's going to happen exactly the way the universe has planned it for you, because there might be some sort of curveball coming in. And then, at least you got plan B, plan C. We can always go to this. And then let the universe reset itself and then try some sort of alternate option and go with that. But always hold God's plan the highest. 100% of everything: faith, belief, hope, trust, knowing, certainty, state of determination. A determined state that you have it already? Absolutely. But sometimes things happen. You might be fluctuating with your patience, with your level of intensity. You might be doing this. You might be throwing off the whole process yourself. Maybe a little doubt creeps in, uncertainty. Maybe you don't have any faith that it'll work at all, whatever the situation is. But you've got to factor these things into this equation, that you have to have backups just in the event of such and such. I know that I'm okay. Like if you have a cabin in the woods, you're not going to just bring the food you need for the time that you're going to stay there. You might need more. It's always good to overcompensate. Give you an example. You're driving your car in a 2-lane highway and there's a little lane on the service road for bikes. So what do? You don't drive that straight lane. You go around, you encroach into the other lane in case that bike flops out into the road. And then you're going to wind up driving over the kid and killing him. So you got to always overcompensate. Just in the event that kid hits a rock and flips off that bike, or an adult. That's what I always do. I don't just drive the line, inside that line where it's to the left. I always go way around. Of course, if there's no cars coming, common sense, but that is what you call overcompensation. You're overcompensating for the space that you're allotting this person, that you're giving, in the event they have some sort of mishap. And in case he plops out into the street on his left side, your car isn't going to drive over him. But unfortunately, people don't have that mechanism in their brain to realize they overcompensate for a situation. They just drive because they just don't know any better, because they're programmed not to. I see it. Common sense is not common anymore. Neither is intelligence. Logic, inductive, and deductive reasoning are not prevalent anymore. Very rarely do I see it. I'm not saying the entire world is like that, thank God. But in the instance of manifestation, you got to have contingencies and backups, and you have to overcompensate. Like if you're going to go for a bench press contest, and the goal weight is 500 pounds you're going to bench press. So you practice with 650. So by the time you get to that 5, you'll lift it no problem. That's what you do. You're overcompensating. You're overshooting the target. So you have more power than what is required to lift that weight. Same thing with the manifestation process. It's no different. It's not any different whatsoever. You have to always factor in what if. It's not that you're throwing out a negative, you're just preparing in the event that anything unexpected might befall you. This way, you got all your corners covered and you're safe. Like your house might not have hurricane-proof, work done to it. So when a hurricane comes, But if you are currently building your home, it's always good to spend the extra money and reinforce the roof, hurricane-proof beams and rafters and all that. This way, in the event that one does come, God forbid, you're okay. That's all it is. It's just all about overcompensation, and it's about redundancies and backups and contingencies. And it's just like a plane. When you're in a plane, they don't just go by one type of system, because if there's a system failure or a malfunction, they've got contingencies on that plane to allow that plane to maintain its flight until it gets to the nearest airport and can be checked for any type of emergency situation. They don't just go to the one. Even jet fighters have a multitude of backups and contingencies. Give you an example before I end the video. The A-10 Warthog, which is like a flying Gatling gun. The Army had it. This thing was a flying titanium tub. You couldn't shoot it down. It was a tank killer. It shot out, I think it was 30 millimeter depleted uranium rounds, which would pierce the shell, the exterior of any tank. But this thing had a multitude of contingencies in case one of the wings got blown off. It was always okay. That's why they called it the Warthog. That's how you have to be, not only with the manifestation process, but with life. You can't just say, all right, all my eggs in this one basket and we'll hope for the best. Do that with your stocks and see where that pans out for you. You can't do that. It's not practical. But anyway, just think of contingencies and backups when it comes to every aspect of life, including the manifestation process. You will be more than glad that you did, trust me.